Hello, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Morning.
I can hear.
Okay. I think uh, Aziz is not speaking yet, so I am just confirming everything is all right in my side.
Just wanted to make sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Good.
Good morning, Azeez.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Juliet. How are you? Well, good evening. Good evening. Okay, let's just start. Um, Ismail, good evening. Yes, I'm feeling better. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
I feel sorry. Was there any email sent for Project 6?
No, not yet. Yeah, so there's no email for Project 6 yet. Because Project 6 is kind of like part of Project 5, so because we are building it as we go. So, but maybe by next week I should have like the reference files ready. But yes, I don't have one now. So I'm just still kind of building it as I go.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Wisdom. All right, so let me open my files, then we will. Uh, so that will be modules. I'll be on my C drive. Then the other one will be my AWS project. and that will be on my C drive as well. Okay. So share. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're just going to continue from where we left off the last time. So our files will build it as we go. And next week, I should probably just finish it on my end, then I will have some reference files for you guys. But for now, the reference file, I'll just provide it. I'll provide it as we are working on everything. So if you guys are working along, then you can just open your project. So let me make this bigger. Make this bigger. All right. So last week we built the VPC and we built the NAT gateway module, and we've also deployed both of them. So I mean, we've created the projects for them. So the next thing we'll do today is we'll just continue. So I think the next one we will build is the security groups. So we'll do the security group, EC2 instance connect endpoint, secret manager, RDS. Then if we can squeeze more in, we can probably do the migrate server too. So I want to use this month to work on this module so that we can be done with this month. Then by next month, we should be done with the entire thing, with the entire program. So by next month, we'll do the only one that's left is CI/CD. Then we'll probably do the Python one too, and Lambda function. Then we'll do Ansible. That'll probably be the last one, but that shouldn't take that much time to set up. So I'm anticipating by the third week of February or by the end of February, we should be done. So, all right. So for today's class, the reference file, this is the reference file. Let me send you guys the link. So I'm just still kind of building it as we go. So I really don't have the full file. So that's why I don't want to, because I don't want to send it to you guys in piece by piece. Okay, this is the reference file. You guys can download it. And here, this is the link. Yeah, so yeah, paste the link in the chat. So you guys, once you are on this page, once you use the link to access it, right? Let me click on the link and see what it does. Once you use the link to access it, you should get to this page, right? So you can, maybe I should have made it a zip file, but it's okay. We'll just walk through it as we go. Yeah. So I think if you want to download, I guess because I uploaded it individually, you just have to download it one at a time. So the next one we'll work on is the security groups, which is here. So you just download it from there. So all I did is right click on the security groups folder and I'll click download. So that should download the file, the module. Right. And if you guys want to do, so what in the order we'll work on it is security groups, EC2 instance connect endpoint. That will be this EIC. So download that one too. And secrets manager, this one, download that one too. And secrets manager and RDS. So you can download those for now. I'm sure there's a way to download the whole thing, but I don't know it right now, and I'm not trying to look for it. But so just download those 4 files for now. Then if we have more time, we'll work on the rest. Okay. So the first file, is that security groups one. So you can just unzip it, extract all here, unzip it. Then in it, there's a security groups folder, right? So there's a security groups folder that has the main.tf, the outputs.tf, and the variables.tf. So we can just take that folder, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that folder and not in my project. Not in my project, but in my modules repository. So you can you see, this is the security groups folder. If you click on it, it has the main.tf outputs, not this, because when you unzip it, you're going to first get a folder. When you double click it, then you now see a security groups folder. Then if you click that, you see the files in there. So the security groups you see right before the files, that's the one you want to drag in here. So you can just take it and drag and drop it here in your module. Then here you should get this and just click copy folder. That's what you want to do because you are copying that folder there. So now the folder for the security groups will be there. Right. And in there, we have the main.tf, the outputs, and the variables. Hi, Dylan. Good morning. All right. So this is pretty much what the reference files will look like for the Terraform module once I'm done with all of them, right? Like what I was saying last week, I'm not going to, I think it will just take longer if we have to do all the resources again, because the resources we are doing in the module is pretty much the same file from the first Terraform project we did. So, which is why I did that project to show you guys how to write the Terraform code where the arguments, everything comes from. So in the Terraform module, we are just reorganizing the code we wrote initially to fit Terraform module. That's what we are doing, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is this security groups main.tf is the same exact file from the first time we worked on Terraform and we create the security group. The only thing I've done here is I've removed some of the values that you have to update to fit Terraform module, right? Because you guys know that now that we are separating all of our resources, for example, in this security groups, we have to create a VPC, right? And a VPC, I mean, we have to create the security group in a VPC. And the VPC was created in a different module, right? In the VPC's module, right? Which we created last week. So we only need to, in this security groups file, we only need to update those things that has to point to the right module. And once we've done that, the other thing we need to do is export some security groups out of this security groups module that we will need later on. Things like the server security group, the application load balancer security group, the data migrate server security group, things like that. So you guys understand, that's how the reference file that I'll be providing would look like. That's the structure. If anything you see in there, this file is the same exact file as the previous, our first Terraform project. It's the same exact file. The only thing is, in this reference file, I've removed things that has to point to the module. So that way I'm showing you guys how to structure the module. But anything else you see in here is the same exact thing as what we've done before. So you can see here, for these security groups, for example, where we are creating the EIC, it's still the same thing, right? We are opening port 22 here, port 22. And we are giving it the same exact name. The only thing we need to update is the VPC ID. So I hope that makes sense. All right, so let's start. And also for this, I've just provide, I think we would work on everything as we go. So the only main thing we'll be updating is the main.tf that needs to point to the module, and also the outputs. So I've provided the outputs that we need, things we need to export out of this security group, but we just have to fill the values in. So that way you know where it is coming from. So in this security groups file, right, we are creating the security groups for the EC2 instance connect endpoint. Here we gave it a name, and here is the description. The next argument here is the VPC we want to create this in, right? And the VPC was created in the VPC project. So the VPC was created in the VPC module, right? So if you go to the VPC module and you go to the outputs, right? You'll see here, we output the VPC ID, which is what we need. We need the output ID from that VPC to create our own, to update it here. So when you are creating this, right, you have to just enter this as a variable, right? As a variable in your module. So that way later on when you're actually deploying the project, your variable will point to the outputs that I just showed you on the VPC. So remember the VPC ID was export in the VPC's module, right? So in this project, we are creating a security group that we need to create in a VPC. So when we create it, when we enter a value here, we'll create it as a variable. So when we are now creating the project, the variable will point to the output in the VPC. That's how it's done. So here,
what is the main purpose of output.tf?
the main point is to export things out of a module that you can use later on.
Thank you. I just wanted confirmation. All right, thank you.
Yeah. So you can use it to print different values of your resources out, but the main, how it is used in the Terraform module, the main purpose of it is you can export things out of a module, like here in the VPC, we are exporting out all these values so that we can use them later on. Now that we are creating the security groups, one of the things we need is the VPC ID. So here in the VPC's output, we've already export out the VPC ID. So now we can now use it here. So that's how it's done. So, just a second, guys. So when you are creating the variables here, you can call it any type of variable you want. You can call it VPC ID. You can call it any type of variable you want, right? But what I always do is whatever you are trying to reference, whatever output you are trying to reference from the module where you are referencing it, whatever that output is called, just name it that, name your variable that output. So that way it will be easier for you when you are working on the project side to just use the same thing, right? You don't have to use this output name, but I'm saying it's easier to use it. It makes everything, it makes everything much simpler and not confusing. So since the output this argument will be pointing to in the VPC is also called VPC ID here, right? So we are just going to name this. We are just going to say, create a variable here called var VPC ID, right? So if you guys open the variables.tf that I provided, right? That is how we got this VPC ID. So it's the variable we created here. So once we create it in a VPC, under the egress rule, here for the CIDR block, we have to also create the rule is like, for EC2 instance connect endpoint only as outbound, and it is limited to the VPC CIDR block. So here we need to enter our VPC CIDR block. Remember, the CIDR block of the VPC was export from the VPC's module in the outputs.tf. So you just go here in the outputs file, you can see the VPC CIDR block here, right? This is what it's called. So you now just create a variable with the same name. So here you can say var dot VPC CIDR, right? So this VPC CIDR you're saying here, right? In your variables.tf file for the security groups, that is how we got this VPC CIDR, right? And the same thing goes here for the environment, right? Remember, here I just left the name because since the name is like we'll be doing it over and over and over again, so we don't need to change it, right? So for the name is var environment var project name, and remember those were also export from the VPC's module. So if we go to the VPC's module, you can see project name here, environment here. So that is how we got this var project name, var environment, var project name, and that is what you are seeing here in the variables file. So basically what I'm saying is you fill in your values, then once whatever variable you create here, you have to now create a variables.tf file for those variables. And those are the variables you guys are seeing here. So if we are done with this, we just need to do the same thing for the rest of them, right? So for the ALB, this is we have already created the var environment var project name, right here. So the description, this is the description. We need to create it in a VPC. We are creating it in the same VPC as this, so you can copy the one you already created here. Copy this and paste it here. So at this point, it's just going to be like copy and paste. So you paste it here, right? Then the ingress rule, we're allowing traffic on port 80 from the internet, traffic on port 443 from the internet. Then we're allowing all traffic out of the on the outbound, and the tag name, environment project name, ALB security group, and we are done with that. So the next one is the app server security group. Remember, for the app cybersecurity group, we are naming it environment, project name, web cybersecurity group, right? This is the description, and we need to create it in a VPC. The VPC is in the VPC module, right? So we've already created a variable. So you just copy your VPC ID from here. The same way you did it here is how you pretty much do the same thing here. So you copy that, you paste it here. So we are creating in the VPC, and the ingress rule is port 22. We are opening port 22 from the EIC security group. So you guys can see here, we're opening port 22 from the EIC security group. The EIC security group was created up here. So that's why we are referencing it here. Then on the ingress, we are also opening port 80 from the ALB security group. You can see the ALB security group was created here. So that's why you can reference it because it's in the same file. And the ingress, opening port 443 from the ALB, the same thing as this, and outbound, all traffic, and tag environment project name web cybersecurity group. The next one is the migrate cybersecurity group, right? So for that one, we are using var environment project name for the name. The description is here, and we need to create it in a VPC. So remember, it's the same way you did it here. Just use the variable for the VPC ID and paste it here. Then the ingress port 22 from the EIC security group, which we created previously. That's what you are seeing here. The egress is all traffic, which is what you are seeing here, and tags the same thing as how we've done it before. Then the last one is the database security group. This is the name, description. We need to create it in a VPC. So here we would just copy the VPC ID here and paste it here. Then for the ingress, it is going to be port 3306 from the app server security group, which we created previously in this file, and port 3306 from the data migrate server, which is the one we created here, right? And the egress is all traffic and the name. So you guys can see from the first time we completed the security groups and now, that we are turning that same, restructuring that security group and turning it into a module. The only thing we have to change in this file is just the VPC ID. For some of the other resources, you may have to change more stuff depending on what they are referencing, right? But for the security groups, the only reference they need to other modules here is the VPC ID. So that is why that's the only thing we have to update in this file from when we completed it the first time. Does that make sense? You guys let me know. And if there's anything you don't understand, let me know.
Azeez, please, I have a question, and please, class, be patient with me.
Sure.
From a high level, could you give us a logical process of how you are doing this? Like how you're creating a main, output, and variable a module that is linking back to especially the output to the variables that you're using to create these modules. Because I know you created a main, output, and variable directory. Then from those, you're using it to the output to correspond with variable.tf files in whatever you're creating in the modules. Is that correct? Could you give us a logical high-level diagram of this process so I can grab what you're doing from a high level, so when you're doing all this step, it's easier for me to follow?
Okay. Maybe by next week, I'll probably I will try to create a diagram for you guys that shows it, but let's just look at it right. So let's look at this, for example. Let me do something. Yeah. So this is the security groups module. So you're following here, right? We have the security groups module. And in your module, you will always have the main.tf, variables.tf, and outputs.tf. You will always have that. So that's that here. And sometimes you may not need the outputs.tf, depending on what you are trying to export out. But if you don't need it, fine. But when you are starting, you always just start with the main variables and outputs, right? Then the VPC module is here, right? In the VPC module, the thing about this module is they can't see what is in each other, right? Because they are in different directories. That's how Terraform works. If the projects that can see, things that can see each other are any Terraform files configuration that is in the same directory you are running Terraform from. So this is one directory here. This VPC is another directory. So anything we do in these security groups cannot see what is in the VPC, right? So now that we create the VPC, we need to export certain things out because we know other modules we need it, right? So that's why we created the outputs.tf file. I'm going to put the output here. This is the output.tf file. In the outputs.tf file, we export things like our region, project name, environment, VPC CIDR blog, VPC ID, right?
Okay.
If you look at this output, this is where everything starts from because this output is pointing to certain things in your VPC resource. For example, let's look at the VPC ID. This output is saying that when I export this output, the value of this output VPC ID will be equivalent to whatever this resource creates. Remember in the VPC file, right here, right? Here, this is where we create the VPC. Resource type and reference name. So in our output, we are saying the value of this VPC ID will be the resource type, reference name, .id, the way we did it in the first project. Are you following?
Yes.
Right. So that's how you do your all your output. So we have now set up the output to export things out of the VPC.
Yeah.
So now that we are in the security group, that will be this main.tf. So security group, this main.tf, not this one. Sorry. I mean, open the right one. This main.tf. And just a second. And now that we are in this security group module, we are creating our security group the same way we would create security groups, right? And this security group now needs to be created in a VPC, right? Remember you export your VPC ID here, right? So you know now for this VPC, where you are creating the security group in, you can just type you can type the value as AWS underscore VPC underscore VPC ID. It won't work because it can't see what is there. So what we are doing here is we are just, now you know that this needs to point to the VPC ID that you export here. So here you are just creating a variable for it as a placeholder.
Okay.
Right? So that's why I created the variable VPC ID.
Okay.
So what I do is, and a lot of people do is, you're in the waiting room, Dylan. I'm sorry. Just for a second, guys.
Okay.
Let me finish explaining this, then I'll check Dylan. I didn't see you here. Okay. I don't see anyone here. Dylan, try to join again, and I'll. So this can see here. So you only, so this variable is a placeholder. So what I always do, like I was saying, is what I always do is I would use I'll make my variable name the same name as whatever output I'm trying to reference later on.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because this variable, you can call it anything. You can call it VPC IDS. You can call it VPC ID something, right? You can name it whatever. But so that everything is just easy for you, I'm saying whatever output you are going to be pointing to, just make it that variable name. Name your variable the same name as that output. Are you following?
Yeah. So it's easier to correlate to the.
Exactly. It's easier to, you will see when we do our project part why it makes it easier to do it that way. So that's pretty much what you are doing in any module you are creating. So here we are creating the security group. The security group needs to be created in a VPC. So we are just pointing the VPC ID to the outputs. This is not where we do the pointing. Here we are just creating a variable for it as a placeholder, because mentally you know that it will be referencing an output that is in the VPC. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does.
Okay, right. So this is not where the pointing is. This is just, you are creating your placeholder here, because you know this placeholder in the project part, when we now create the module that is pointing to the source, right? In that project part is where it would point to the outputs.
Output. The output is where the main um
The main value is.
Yes.
The main value we want to reference is. Exactly.
And this process is also good as far as for security. So you're not hard coding information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's good for security, and it's also good, like, because if you hard code anything here, when you call that module, that would be whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? It would be hard coded. So if you call this, yeah. So at this point, your VPC has not been created, so you don't know what the ID would be.
Yes.
Because if you create this VPC now and AWS gives you one ID, you destroy it. The next time you create it, it will be a different ID.
Yes.
So you have to be coming in here all the time and updating your VPC ID here. Because ultimately, you are right. We are trying to get the ID, whatever ID this VPC creates is what we are trying to use here. But for now, we don't know what the ID is. So we just create a placeholder here in the security groups module. So this, what we are doing here is a placeholder where we are just calling it, we just create a variable for it and we name that variable. But I'm saying for the variable name, whatever output you are trying to point it to in the module, name it that. So that way it will be easy for you to recognize later on.
Okay. Got you. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So yeah, so now I'm just going to save these files. And you do understand too that the variables we have here is just the variables we created in here. You understand that part too, right? So in our main.tf file, remember we were creating variables as a placeholder, right? So once you go through your main.tf file, whatever variables you end up creating in there as a placeholder, right? You have to now create a variables.tf file and put them there. You understand that too, right?
Come again. I didn't really grab you.
So you say that in this security groups, we are saying like we need to create them in a VPC. And for that VPC ID, we need to reference, we created a placeholder using variable.
Yeah.
Right. So in Terraform, anytime you specify a variable in your resource, you have to create a variables.tf file for it. It's a must.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So we are going through this file. We created a variable VPC ID, right? We created a variable environment. We created a variable project name, right? And we created a variable VPC CIDR here. So you can see in this main.tf file for the security group, we have a variable for VPC CIDR, VPC ID, project name, and environment. So I'm saying in your main.tf file or your project resource, whatever you created, whatever variable you create there, you have to now create the variable in the variable.tf file.
Yeah, that will reference what is, because is that module can't see what's in, like example, the VPC module. So it will be able to reference what is in the main.tf file into that variable.tf file as
Yeah,
like
so so basically how you look at the variable is you always start with your main.tf file and you are adding value, you are adding your values here, right? But I'm saying like in your main.tf file, whatever variable you create here, you have to now create the proper variable format in your variables.tf file.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Like this variable now where you are seeing here is just pointing to this one you created here. This
Yes.
one's. You
Yes. Because
understand?
they're in the same directory. So it's
Exactly.
pointing. That's why yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, because if you don't create this variables
It
file,
won't
it,
see.
it, it won't work.
Yes,
That's
it won't see.
Terraform. That's Terraform rule. You must create anytime you specify a variable in your project, you must add them. You now create a variables file and you add those variables there. That's how Terraform works.
Okay. So
Right?
what is that variable.tf file? What is the origin of that variable.tf file?
You can see it
Connecting.
here. You can see it here is in my security groups module.
Yeah, I see it. I see that the one inside the security group file module. What variable.tf, where is it point? What's the content that you're not trying to hard code? Where is it getting the source from in the variable.tf file?
So the variable.tf file, you make it up, right? It's not anything. It's things you make up that you don't want to hard code, right?
Yes.
So let me show you. I'm just going to put this side by side. So this is all I'm saying. In your security groups, you have the main.tf, right? That has variables in it.
Yes.
Then all I'm saying that any variable you create in the main.tf file, you just now have to like add it to your variables file. You understand? So this variable is, these two are only pointing to each other. That's the only thing they are doing. This variable is pointing to the main.tf. The main.tf is pointing to the variable.
Yes.
That's all they are doing.
Yeah.
Because
So
remember, this is a placeholder for now.
yes.
This is not pointing to the VPC ID yet. It's just a placeholder for now.
Okay.
You
Sorry,
understand?
Azeez.
Yes.
So does that mean that what you're saying is that the variable.tf file will always reference either
Yes.
the main.tf, whatever is coded there will always reference it. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's all it is
That's
doing.
the major concept. Variable is always referencing something. Variable is always reference. That's correct, right? Azeez, right?
Yes, variable is always referencing something, but it is always referencing any variable you specify in your project.
Yes. And one it's in the project, so it can't, the variable stays within that directory. It can't reference outside that directory.
Correct. In
That's
this,
why in the previous projects we're doing, we had done some variable.tf where we tell it to go back one step outside the directory.
no. So the value of the
A bit-
variable can be anything you are doing. It just depends on what variable you are creating, right? So, Victor, don't I think you don't think it too
I
far,
think it's
right? Right. Don't overthink it, right? All I'm saying is that when you are creating a project, right? If you So basically in this my project here, if I don't have variables here, let's say I hard code all these values. Let's say all these values here, I end up just hard coding them and I don't have any variables here, right? Then I don't need a variables file.
yes, exactly. So now this variables file in this module, this security group module you created, the variable tf file is correlating to just any things for the environment from dev, staging, and production. That going back to the main of that TF file.
Yes. So
That's it.
basically, any variable I specify in the main.tf file, if I
Yes.
create a variable there and I'm referencing, the actual variable has to be in the variables.tf file. You
Okay.
understand? Not we here we are not talking about the value of the variable. We are just talking about remember a variable is just a placeholder,
Yeah.
right? It's something you are making up and you're saying, I don't want to put I don't want to hard code anything here. So I'm creating a variable. So you can start here by creating your variables first.
Now, wait, let's go on this point. So this, like for example, for this main.tf, this variable in the variable VPC, where is it linking to in the variable TF file? What is it placeholding? Is it not the environment, for example of this?
Aziz, please, if maybe I can share my, if the Victor, you can allow me, maybe you understand from my layman understanding.
Okay.
So, from this, let's say we have three main things. We have the main, the output, and the variable. The variable, it is where you yourself, you decide what goes there. So, like you have the main.tf, and we have the result, we have name. So the name, we could have just mentioned that it is the dev because the environment is dev, right? We could have just mentioned that it is dev project, which are the project, let's say it is net or shopwise. So we could have just called it dev dash shopwise,
Twice.
right? Yes, but we don't want to hard code it. So we say, okay, we are going to call it environment.
That's what I'm saying.
Then
I'm
we
saying,
have, I'm coming 1 minute, please.
okay.
Then we name it a project. But now the environment, we want to make it a variable. So then you go to the variable folder and you make, okay, I have a variable and it's called environment. That is where you are referencing to your main.tf. Then you say, okay, I have another variable which is called project name. That is where you have in your project name. It's a variable. Then you come, then you say, okay, there's a VPC. I don't even know the VPC ID now. And I know the VPC, I have created it in the VPC folder. So I'm going to reference it in the VPC folder. But once I go to the VPC folder, I have to create a variable for it because I am not hard coding it. I am calling it a variable. So I come back to the variable ID, sorry, the table. Then I create a variable for it, call it variable ID. Then the same thing, you have a cider, VPC cider. I say, okay, I don't want to call it VPC
Side.
cider or put the NAMA or whatever there. So what I'll do is I'll make it a variable. Then you create a variables for it. So let's say you have another thing that you want to put it there, right? The other thing that you want to do, let's say, what can you even put there?
Security group. Security, like for example,
Yes,
security
yes.
group
So you
that
don't
you're
want
doing.
to
Okay.
mention the exact ID or hard code it. So you say, I'll make it a variable. So whatever you put that you are making it a variable, you have to make that variable available in the variable table. So if let's say in your main of TFs, you have 20 resources and you are making all of them variable, not as a reference, sorry, not hard coding, but a variable, then you have to create those things in the variable table.
Valuable.tf.
Exactly.
Got you. Thank you very much. Got you. Now I
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you, Captain. So you guys just I'm glad you guys are asking questions. That's what I want, right? Because Terraform module, the first time you work on it, it is very confusing because initially when you are working on it, there's a lot of moving parts and it could be tricky, which is why I'm taking the time to try to explain and also make sure that you guys understand, right? So Dylan, I think I know what you're doing. Uh the link is a different link. It's not, we are not on that last let me send you the link. How am I gonna send it to you? Okay, I'll send it to you on Slack. Just give me a second. So the link is a different link, Dylan. It's not the same link as the other one. That's why you're probably in the other Underwood general.
Thank you, sir, for your
Yeah.
explanation.
So basically, you guys don't overthink everything, right? Rules for Terraform, right? Let's just start with rules for Terraform. This has nothing to do with a module. Whether you are working on Terraform the first way we did it or you are doing the module, right? Let's just start with, let's not even look at things here, right? You are working on your Terraform file that is creating security groups. Just like Captain said, you have an option in there. For example, the VPC ID. Let's just use that one. You have an option in there for a VPC ID that in here you can, if you know your VPC ID, you can type it in here, hard code it, and it will work. But you are saying, I don't want to hard code it here. I want to create it as a variable. The variable is, I'm making up the variable name. I'm just saying, like, for the VPC ID, I will create a variable here which acts as a placeholder. That's all this variable is doing now. It's just a placeholder. So you say, okay, I'm just going to create a variable in my main.tf file that is, and I'll call that variable name VPC ID. Then you continue with your project, and as you are working on your project, things you don't want to hard code, you continue creating a variables for them, right? What I'm saying is, any variable you create in that project, you have to, just like our captain said, I think like he said it perfectly. Any variable you create in your project, you have to make them available in the variables.tf file. You understand? So that's all you are doing. So you were working here, you created a bunch of variables. All you have to do now is create a variable.tf file and put those variables here. Because if the variables are not here, you won't be able to use it in the main.
Doesn't
Here,
have anything to reference to
exactly. It doesn't have anything to
in
reference
that
to.
same
Exactly.
folder. That
Exactly.
directory is a folder. Okay.
Yes. So the
Thank
variables you specify in
you,
your
Cap.
project here, they are really referencing the variables here. That's it. They are not pointing to anything else. Any variables in the VPC, we have variables here, right? That means any variables we specify here in this VPC is only pointing to, yes, you are right, Victor, is only pointing to the variables within that same folder, the variable reference. So that's it. So variable just, go ahead.
I learned from a understanding perspective. Then from that understanding perspective, when you're teaching, it starts making sense to me. That's how my brain works. So
Yeah.
if I don't understand like the formula,
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
just giving me too much information. You understand? So it's
Yeah.
from that formula I used to derive or understand what you're teaching. That's why I got confused. Thank you, Captain, and thank you, Aziz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad. No, you guys please ask question because Terraform module
Yes,
does get a little bit confusing. Yes, someone has a question.
Aziz.
Yes.
Yes. So let's say you are in an interview and then they ask you like, have you done anything with Terraform modules? What would be the explanation that you would kind of give to display the concept that you know how to, work with Terraform modules?
So I think the explanation would just be your own understanding of Terraform module. So it's not so Terraform module is you reusing codes over and over again, right? So whatever we are doing now, that's what you describe, right? You can see now we are separating our resources by we are separating our modules by resources that we can later different projects can call later on, right? So it's just what you explain is your understanding of Terraform module, not
I
it's not
think
an
I think the question he's
Okay.
trying to say, which I experience, and that's why I'm asking all these deep questions, if you call it that, is because he was the same question he asked was I was in an interview 2 weeks ago, and they asked, tell me, we want a DevOps that is just focused on Terraform. Tell me your explanation on Terraform. And I wasn't giving them the right answer, put it that way. And I didn't get the position. That's why I said, okay, this is what as this is teaching. I have to pay focus extra focus on this because everyone wants a Terraform specialist, and I've noticed it from my. So I
So
have to have a deep understanding of what, from a high level, how you're creating your how you're creating your Terraform that is dry. Do not repeat yourself for different projects. Basically, that's what I think the question is referring to. If I'm correct in my
yes,
Yes.
I understand, but that's what I'm saying. So at this point, I think it's kind of like premature to think on the interview part, right? So now is when we are working on it, right? So when we are done working on it, so we are creating our modules, then we'll create our project. Whatever that means to you, whatever, that's where your understanding of it will come. Because if I tell you the definition of what you're supposed to say, you're just going to forget. And it's not going to come natural when you are explaining it. So what you explain needs to be what you understand from what we are doing, right? So I'll just say, let's revisit this question when we are done with the Terraform module, because at that point, Mr. Wright, I want to ask you, what do you understand of it? Like everything we've done, then if there's anything we need to add, remove, then we can do that. So I think it's kind of like premature to answer that question now, because it needs to be your understanding of it. And all it is we are Terraform module is just a way of reusing your codes over and over again, right? Here, just like I explained last week, here we've created a module for VPC that different projects can call and use. That is what we are doing here in the project. So the projects we are doing, this is one project that is calling the module. You can see it's calling this is calling the VPC module. This is calling the NAT gateway module. We can create another project that has the main.tf that is doing the same thing. So basically what I'm saying is like you guys definition of anything will come from your understanding of completing the project. So now you guys still have to complete this Terraform module project, and you also have to complete the assignment. Then at that point, Mr. Wright, I'm going to write it down in my note, then I'm going to revisit it with you again. Like, what does everything you've done so far in the Terraform module, what do you understand about it? Because that's what you should be saying in the interview.
Okay.
All right. So
Quick question, please.
yes.
So if there are multiple files within the project, so the variable.tf will reference from each of those files. Is that correct?
Can you say that
Right?
again?
If there are multiple multiple .tf files in the project, so the variable will reference not only the main.tf, but it will also reference other files there too. Is that
Correct.
if we
Correct. So if there are a bunch of, you only have one variables.tf file per directory. You understand? So your
okay
project will
per
only have,
directory.
yes. So your
Okay.
project will only have one. Like here, I can create another variables.tf file in this VPC. I mean, in this security group. Uh, what's this? I don't know what that is. So, okay. So in this, you guys are still here, right? I didn't lose you guys, right?
Well, here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I just got that message and I'm not sure what that was. All right. So yes, you are right, Mr. Abel. The variables.tf file would be for every single variable you have specified within that directory. So if you have 10 files here, so you can see here, a good example of that is in our project, right? When we created, the first way we created it, right? Here, right? You can see we have all these files in the same directory, but we only have one variables.tf file that is referencing any variable we specify in any of the files. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. Now,
Okay.
I mean, have a better perspective now, at least per directory.
Yes. So per directory, you only have one variables file there. You can't have two.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. So for the security groups, we are still here. We've created our main.tf file and our variables file, right? So in here, in the outputs, we are creating this security group file is going to create some security groups that we will need later on. Other resources will reference it. So we want to export out their value, right? So these are the ones we will export out this year, right? So that's why here you are seeing for the outputs, EC2 instance, AIC security group ID. This is it's just like a variable too. This is like the name you make up the name of what you are trying to output, right? You make up the name. Here, I just make up the name and a description, right? Then you now have to give it the value, right? So the value will be in your main.tf file. This is where we created our EC2 instance connect endpoint security group. So you copy the resource type and the reference name. Then you come to your output file, you paste it here. Then you remove the quotes, add a period, come all the way to the end, add a period and type ID. So that's what we are pointing to. We'll do the same thing for the ALB security group ID. So we'll go to our main.tf file. This is where we created the ALB security group. You copy the resource type, the reference name, copy it, then come to your output file, paste it here, remove the quotes, add a period, then come to the end, add another period and type ID. We'll do the same thing for the app server security group ID. We want to export the ID. So you go to where you created the app server, which is here. You copy the resource type and the reference name. Then you come to your your output file. You paste it here. You remove the quotes between them, add a period, then at the end, add another period and type ID. Then you do the same thing for the migration server, migration security group. You come here. This is the resource type and the reference name. You copy it. And you come here to the output file. You paste it here. You remove this, add a period, then at the end, add another period and type ID. Then database security group, the same thing. You come down here, copy the resource type and the reference name. Then in your output file, you paste it here. Remove the quotes, period, and type ID. Then you can save it, save your files. And that's pretty much how you are exporting those things, right? So anything you are exporting you don't have to, is not limited to what we did here. You can export as many things you want from the security group. Like the security group would have ARN, things like that. You can export those things if you want. But we are only exporting this because we know these are things we will need later on. So that's why we are only exporting this.
So how does the export work? Can you explain it? Exporting out of the directory, or can you just explain how the export works? Thank you.
So here, by creating the output would grab whatever those values are for those resources when they get created, and it will just make them ready to use. So it's not, they will just be there, right? They will be ready to use. When we work on the project, that's when we will reference them. So it's not going to be here now. Is when you work on the project, that's when you you use them. But in your project, within your module, you are any value you want to make readily available to use by other projects, you have to put them in the outputs. So the output can print them out for you. Then they will be used later on. So later on, I'll show you where we are using it.
Okay. So basically, we've not got to that point, but basically the output is to reference in other projects. The
Yes,
output,
correct.
yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know.
All right. So we are done with our module. So we'll just first you just push it to your repository here. So I just create security group SG module. Create SG module. I'm going to push it, and here I'm going to push it. Right. So I push it. My module is there. Now is where if I want to now use it in my project, right? So this is the project we are working on. So now we want to create the security groups in this project, right? That is using that security groups module we just created. So here I'm just going to start with a comment, create security group. Right. So to reference that module we just created, you start by typing module. Yeah. Then you give the module a name, right? So we'll just call it security groups. So, two groups. So you can see here, security groups, you just give the module a name. Then here, you're going to now type source. The first thing you type is source, which the source point to where the module is located, right? The module will be in your, and I don't have my, I don't think I have my repository open. Let me just say, GitHub. The module will be in your repository. So you can see here, the repository, the security groups is here, right? So we said that how you reference it is here. We've already done the same thing here. So you can copy one of this and paste it here. Right? So there's no extra quote. Then the only thing we need to do here is just change the name. Because that one we copied is not gateway to whatever the name is for that folder. So the name of that folder is security groups. So copy and paste here. So now when this project, when we apply Terraform, it is going to go into this, the security groups directory. It is going to go into the security groups folder. Then it's going to look at the files there. That's what it's going to use to create the security groups. So that's what that source is doing. Then the next part of this project is once you are pointing to I think for this part, for what we are doing here with the project, you guys don't overthink it. Just know the steps. I think this is more of a step than anything. So the first step is I told you guys you create a module resource, give it a name, whatever name you want to call it. Then the source is what's important, where the module you are pointing to, where it is located, right? Once you do that, once you now point to any module you point to, and I mean any module you point to, whatever variable is specified in it. So you can see I'm pointing to the security groups module. And in the security groups module, there's this variables.tfr. Any variable that is in it, you have to now list them here. So you can see the first variable is environment. How am I going to do this? Let me just do it side by side like this. Right. So you can see on the left side here, this is my project. And here, this is my module. So what I'm saying is like my module, my project is pointing to the security groups module, right? I pointed there, but obviously I'm not pointing to it on my computer. I'm pointing it to the GitHub one, but it's the same thing, right? And whatever module you are pointing to, if that module has a variables file, anything that is in the variables file, you must list it under the source. So that's why here, there's an environment there. You now put environment here, right? Equals. There is a project name. You will now put project name here. Equals. We'll fill the value later on. There's a VPC ID. You now put VPC ID. And there is a VPC slider. Copy it, and you now enter it here. And that's all you do, right? So remember, any module you are pointing to, if that module has a variable, that's what you list under here, right? So that's all this is. And let me minimize that. So now for the value, right? The value is environment, right? The environment here, if you want to type dev, you can type dev. It will work. But the thing about it is, since we already created the environment, we already specified the environment in the VPC module, right? Here, you can see we've already specified the environment here and project name and things like that here, right? And you now want to reference it in a different module. This is where the variable I told you, Victor, that we were creating as a placeholder, this is where we now point it to the VPC, right? So here, you will now type, right? You want to point to the VPC, you type module dot the module where the output is. So that's the VPC dot the output in that VPC. So let me show you. So here, right? Where is it? Yeah. No, not that one. Yeah. I'm not sure we'll be able to dock it. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Remember in your VPC, I said you have the outputs, right? When the VPC gets created, these outputs will be made available to use. So now we have a security groups module that needs to reference the environment output here, right? So that's why you say module dot the name of the module. Remember, you created the VPC here, so it's pointing. So the module is pointing to that VPC, right? And the output you specify in that VPC, what did you call the name, right? What you are trying to reference is the environment. So this is where the connection gets made. Now it's kind of like, it seems like a lot, but honestly, once you play around with it a lot, you just know it like anything else, right? So project name, the same thing with project name, right? We need to reference it. We can type the project name, but since we already created it in the VPC module and we export the name, we can just reference it like that. So we type module dot the name of the module where we want to reference the value is in the VPC module dot the output in that VPC module that you want to reference is this, we call the project name. So what I always do is, let me just paste it here because this Zoom thing is very annoying. What I always do is, because remember I told you guys, name your name your variable the same name as the output that you are trying to reference. So since I always name it the same thing, so when I'm copying, I don't have to go to the VPC output to copy it. I just copy this one and put it back here because I know I use the same name, right? But here I'm showing you where it is pointing to, right? So the same thing for the VPC ID. And we want to reference the VPC ID, right? We type module dot where the module was created is in the VPC. So the VPC you type here is whatever name you call the VPC here. So that's where I'm getting that from. So VPC dot the output in that VPC you want to reference. So you can see in the VPC module, there's an output called VPC ID. So this is what we are using here. The next thing is VPC CIDR block. So the VPC CIDR block is in the VPC module. So we type module dot VPC, which is where the value we are trying to reference is located, dot the output in that VPC, right? The output in that VPC is VPC CIDR, this here. That is what is here. So this is where the connection gets made. So now we can save our work. I'm just going to we can save our work. I'll click file here, save. Then once you save it, we can now create it. So here, I'm just going to right click, open in integrated terminal and type, first you have to type Terraform init. So Terraform init. So the Terraform init is going to download. You can see here, it downloaded the security groups module. That's going to download the module, right? So I told you guys last week that when you type Terraform init, it downloads the module and it will store it locally here in this .terraform folder. So that way, when you now run Terraform apply, instead of it going to your repository, it will pull it from here. It will pull it from here. So that's why if you are working on Terraform module, you make a mistake with something, you fix it, and you now run Terraform apply again, and it's not updating, it's because it has already downloaded it and stored it, and it's just using the one here. So you can either delete this .terraform folder and run Terraform init again, let it to and for it to download. I think there's a Terraform command you can run. I think it's Terraform init upgrade. If you type that, it would always re-download it from your repository. So once we've
Yes, Aziz, I think the init upgrade do that. I was working on this project and I was having that error, like there was an error. So I noticed it was queued in the distance. So when I check, I noticed you have to use the init upgrade.
Yeah.
That will clear the cache there.
Yeah. So basically, maybe you guys should get in the habit of in your Terraform module, when you do init, just do init upgrade. So that way, Terraform will, that will force Terraform, but don't do it all the time. Do only do it when you are troubleshooting. You fix something in your module and you need it to read down and you pushed it to your repository, you need to download it again, then do init upgrade, right? The point of the purpose of this is, you guys know, like this, our module will get bigger as we keep creating more modules. It'll get bigger, bigger, bigger and bigger, right? If it has to go to your repository all the time to download each module, it will just take forever. So that's what Terraform does, is it will download it in your from your repository, store it here locally. So when you now run and apply, it will just pick it from there locally and use it. But if in your repository, your modules repository, you've updated it there, then you can run the Terraform init upgrade to re-download it. So you guys just be aware of that.
So
that's
basically what you're saying is there's a local file and there's a remote file. The Terraform, initially when you do the Terraform init, it downloads basically cloning from the remote file into your local file, and now you're working based on your local file.
Correct.
Then if now you want to upload to your remote file, you do the Terraform init upgrade. Now it's going to the Git repository in your remote file, and that way it locks that remote file, does everything there. Then once it's done, that is the new the updated version in the version control system, the remote repository. Is basically that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
yes. So yes, if your remote one has changed, your local one would not know. So to re-download it, just do init upgrade, and that will re-download it. Re-download pretty much all your modules from your repository. Okay. So now we are just going to run Terraform apply. Run Terraform apply. Yeah, you can see here it is going to create. Well, here it's creating all because I deleted it from last week. So here it's going to start all over, create the VPC and all so on. So here I'm just going to type yes. So it's now creating all my resources, including the VPC, NAT gateway, and security group. So far, I know it's kind of like a lot. It's just a lot of connection. It's a lot of connection things you have to make, right? But with Terraform module or Terraform, you just have to get your hands dirty and keep building things with it. Keep working on it. Keep working on it. Eventually, you will understand. You know, and I'll try to draw some diagrams with like some rules of things that are always true in Terraform module. But I feel like once you work on it enough time, you understand, right? So does anyone have any question on the module part or the project part that is called in the module? And another thing you can do is just reverse engineer what we are doing here, right? Because it's going to be pretty much the same way all the time. You have your module somewhere, then you have the project that is calling the module. When the project is calling the module, you give it any name you want, right? Then the things you list down here, first you start with the source where the module you are calling is located. The things you list down here after that source are any variable that is listed in the module you are calling, then you have to list them here. Then you have to now specify the value. So the value don't have to point to something. Sometimes the value can be something new, then you type it. But in this case, we've already specified these values, environment and project name in the VPC module. So that's why we are referencing it from there. So that way we don't have two hard-coded things up and down, right? We need the ID of the VPC. The ID of the VPC is in the VPC module, which we export out, right, using the output. So we just reference that output here. So here we say for the ID of the VPC, remember in the security groups module, we created this as a variable. So that's the variable here. So now you are now saying the value of the variable I created in the VPC, in the security groups module, the value is go in the module VPC, go in the module VPC, and look in the outputs.tf file. You'll see an output there called VPC ID. That's where the value is located. That's how that is done. So you can see now it has created everything. The VPC, NAT gateway, and 6 security groups. All right. Does you guys have any question? We'll move on to the next one. All right. So The next module we are going to create is the EC2 instance connect endpoint. So in that reference file I gave you guys, so it should be there. Once you download it, I think is this. So security group is this one that says EIC. Unzip it. Then once you unzip it, you should see this folder. Click that folder, and in that folder, you'll see EIC. And in there are two files, main.tf and variables.tf. So, but you want to take that EIC folder, click and hold it, and you can drag and drop it in your modules here. And here it's going to ask you always click copy folder, because that's what we want to do. So now it's going to copy the folder there for you. So this is the folder. We have the main.tf file there and the variables.tf file. So
please, can you share the link again to the
okay, sure,
folders, please?
sure. This is the in case you guys don't have it, this is the link here.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. So on YouTube, are you guys following or you guys are lost? Be honest. Really, you guys just have to, the only way to understand it is to just do it. You know, it's not difficult. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts. Not a lot of moving parts. There are some moving parts that you need to understand. Right? Once you understand those moving parts, everything is just the same. With any module you create, is the same process over and over again. So at that point, you are pretty much just doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? But in the beginning, now that you are trying to understand all the rules, that's when it can be a little bit confusing. But I guarantee you guys, by the time you finish this project and you do the assignment, you will understand it. You just need to spend time with it. And I hope you guys are not only working today, then throughout the week you guys don't do anything. You're going to need more than that to be able to understand it. You're going to have to watch the explanation today, then spend at least 4 to 5 days out of the week working on it. You just have to spend time with it. Please don't just limit the time you work on it to just the weekends when we are here.
From my perspective, I think the three moving parts that you keep coming to is that the variable in a directory, then the remote that is connected to the Git remote directory that from your local that we're referencing the output from. Once you understand those two concepts, it's very simple. It's very straightforward. You're having a module, and from one module, you create. It's like a words that computer system. You have a, a drive, which is your directory. Then you have a folder inside that drive. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
inside that folder, you have a file. You understand? So you're just trying to trace, okay, you need this in this file. How will I copy this something in my F drive to my D drive that will reference it in this file?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
that's the concept that is just now that you've explained the variable and the output, now it clicks for me. So
Yeah.
that's my catch.
Yeah. So there's the more, so if you guys, when we work on one module, we work on security groups, we're about to work on the EC2 instance connect endpoint, and it will be the same thing. You guys will see it over and over and over and over again. By the time you are done with all your modules, you will understand, right? So in the EC2 instance connect endpoint, to start, you create a folder. You call it whatever name you want to call it. You will name the folder name the resource name. So here, since we are creating EC2 instance connect endpoint, we call it the folder EC2 instance connect endpoint, EIC, right? Then in the folder, you will have main.tf file, variables.tf file, and outputs.tf file. Here, we don't have an output because it turns out when we create this EC2 instance connect endpoint, we don't need an output for it. So that's why guys don't see an outputs.tf file here. So basically, variables.tf file is optional and outputs.tf file is optional. You will only have a variables file if in your main file, there's a variables there. If your main file don't have a variables, then you don't need a variables file. For the output file, if there isn't anything you are trying to export out of that resource, then you don't need an outputs file. But the main file is the main one you must have, right, to have a module, right? The variables one will be based on if in your main file, you use variables in your main file. So here in our main file, this is just one resource, right? That is going to create the EC2 instance connect endpoint. The same way we created it, right, in the previous project. So here for this argument, we need to specify the subnet ID. We need to specify the security groups. And here we've already had the environment and the project name. So for the subnet ID here, we know the subnet we want to create this endpoint in is in the VPC module, right? So here we don't even know the subnet ID because we haven't created the VPC yet. I mean, I created it, but think about it as when you are writing the module, the VPC hasn't been created, so you don't know what it is. So that's why you create it as a variable. You just enter it as a variable, right? To use it as a placeholder, and you give the variable a name. The variable name can be anything you want it to be. My rule is just, and what I see most in professional settings is, they will typically name the variable what they are trying to point to later on. But at this stage, there's no connection to the VPC yet. We are just creating a variable here, but we use it as a placeholder because we don't know the value of the subnet ID yet. So here in the variables.tf file, if you look there, I've just created the variables for you guys. So the first variable is the subnet ID, right? And we will create this EC2 instance connect endpoint in one of our private app subnet, right? So I've just chose the private app subnet EC2. So we'll just call it private app subnet EC2 ID. That's the name I gave that variable. So that's what you'll paste here, right? So remember this variable, I created a variable here. I called it private app subnet EC2 ID because that's where I'm trying to create this endpoint. And I now put the variable here, var this, right? It's a placeholder. This name, I could have called it anything I want, but I like to be descriptive so that way when I'm looking at it later on, I can make the connections. Okay, this is the ID that I need here is the ID of my private app subnet EC2 in the VPC, right? Here, we need the ID of our security group, right? The security group is the EC2 instance connect endpoint security group we created, right? We need the ID. So here I just created a variable for it. I gave it a name. The name can be anything I want it to be. I call it EC2 instance connect endpoint security group ID because I know that's what I need. So that's why I made the name descriptive. Then in my in here for the value, it will be var dot the name of the variable that I created, which is this. So I'll copy this name and I'll paste it here. Then for the tag, I want to tag it by the environment and the project name, right? I want, at this point, I don't want to hard code the environment name here. So that's why I'm making it as a variable too. So that's why I have var environment. I created an environment variable and I now used it here. I created a project variable and I used it here. Hope that makes sense. And that's all we need to do for this endpoint. And you just save your file, save both of them. Then you can push it to your remote repository. So here I'm just going to create EIC module. So commit and push. So once we've pushed it, if we go in our repositories here, and let's go back to our modules and refresh here, you can see the EIC is there, right? So now once it's in our remote, we can now call it in the project. So the project is here. I'm going to close this for now. Then down here, we're just going to create a module that will call it. So we will type create EC2 instance connect right. So once you type, I always just like to keep the notes so I can keep everything organized. Then you type module, right? That's how you begin a module. It will be in this format. Then you give the module a name, right? We can just call the module name EICE. Then the next thing you specify is the source, where the module is located. So here you type source, and we'll point to where the module is. So the module is here. So we can just copy this for now and paste it here. Right, so we just need to remove the security group part because it's not pointing to the security group folder. It is pointing to the EICE folder. So we copy this and paste it here. And that's all we need to do. And remember what I said, once you point it to the module, now, maybe I should probably even do it from the GitHub repository. Any module you are pointing to, right? This is the module we are pointing to. If there's a variables.tf file there, open it. Then for all the variables that are listed there, so you can see I have 4 variables that are listed in this module. So for all the variables, you copy the variable name, and that's what you put in your project under here. So the first one is this private app subnet EZ2 ID, right? Then the next one is EIC security group ID, copy it. You press enter here, that's what you put here. But make sure there's no quotes, it's just the name. We put enter. I mean, equal space, equal sign and enter, then you copy the next one, which is environment. I always like copy pasting. Don't try to type. Well, if you know you are someone that you won't have typos when you are typing, you can type it. But I always just like copy pasting. So that way you don't accidentally type the wrong thing. So here, environments. Then the last variables there is the project name. So copy it. So I'm doing it this way so that you guys know exactly where all these things are coming from. So project name, right? And you paste it here. So now this is where the value comes in, right? So when you are looking at it, you say, okay, for this module, I'm creating an EC2 instance connect endpoint. I need to create it in a subnet. Where is the subnet located? The subnet is located in the VPC module. That's where the subnet was created. So how you reference it is you type module, right? Dot where the module, what you are trying to reference, where it is located, right? The name of that module, we call it VPC. So here you type VPC dot. In that VPC module, what is the output call? So in that VPC module, you just have to, in the VPC module, right? We are referencing, you go to the outputs.tf file, right? So even if you don't want to look at it here, right, you can look at it from the repository standpoint, right? In the modules, right? There's a VPC module, there's an output file, right? So in that output file, you just look through it. But obviously, I'm showing you the same thing I'm showing you guys here is the same thing from here. So let's just do it here because you guys will see it better. So in the VPC, there'll be an output file, right? And we are looking for the outputs, private app subnet AZ2 ID, right here. Private app subnet AZ2 ID. So we copy this, and that is what we will enter here. You guys understand? The same thing with the EC2 instance EIC security group ID. Here, you see, this I like this one because this is a little bit different because we've been doing the VPC. So here we start with module because the EIC security group, it was created with the security group module. So here we type module dot the module, what we are trying to reference is located in is this one, security group. So you copy the module name and you paste it here. Dot. In that module, what output are we trying to reference? So you go to that module, right? This is the security groups module. You go in the output file. And in this module, we want to reference the EICE security group ID output. So you copy this and you paste it here. Then the next one is environment, right? We already specified the environment in the VPC module. So we reference it from there by typing module dot VPC, right? The name of the module, VPC dot, and the output in that VPC module that we want to reference, right? So if you go back to your thing, VPC is here, the outputs for that VPC is here. If you scroll up here, you can see environment output is here. So that's what you copy. And that is what you paste here. Then here is module again, because that's in the, for the value of project name is in the VPC module. So we'll type VPC dot in the VPC module, right? The output we want to reference is project name. So you copy it and you paste it here. Then that's all we need to do. Then we'll save our file. Click File, Save. Then I'm going to now create the resource. I'm going to open my integrated terminal. I'll type Terraform init to download the module. You can see here, it's downloading the EICE module here. You can see here. Then once I download it, I'm just going to run Terraform apply. You can see this is what it's going to create. An EC2 instance connect endpoint. And I'm going to type yes. Okay, it's now creating the endpoint, and we can even go in the management console. I go in the VPC. So here I'm going to select endpoints. Yeah. So you can see it's creating the EC2 instance connect endpoint. And it's called DevNest EICE and so on. Right. So we are done with that one. Does anyone have any questions? So far, is it making sense? Juliet, Ismail, are you guys still here? Are you guys still here? Is it making sense? Or is it still very confusing? Do you guys have any question on it so far? Okay. So, okay.
Aziz, this is a new project that we're starting, or you just showing exactly the link that Victor asked before, or I missed out when you started. Sorry.
We started this like three weeks ago.
No, yeah, I understand, but I'm saying as you start, you have restarted now to point from the from the main file. So I'm saying, is it is, or are we redoing the same? I just want to catch up exactly.
Oh yeah. The project, the Terraform project we did, we are now making it as a Terraform module. Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you remember when we did the Terraform project, the main purpose of me doing the Terraform project, the first time we did it this way, where we have all of our file here, is mainly to teach you guys how to write Terraform resource so you guys can know where arguments, attributes, and all those things comes from, right?
That's what they call
So-
doing it manually, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So now the way we are doing it with Terraform module is, instead of having all of our Terraform code in one directory like this, we are separating them by resource. Let me here. We are separating them by resource, which is this is what we call Terraform module, right?
Yes.
So that way, if we want to create just VPC, we can create just VPC. If we want to create just security group, we can create just security. If we want to create just NAT gateway, we can create NAT gateway, right? Versus the first way we did it, which is which was this way, with all the files here. When you run Terraform apply here, it would always create every single resource that I listed here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just doing Terraform module now. And which style would you guys see when you are working? You will see both. So that's why I'm showing you guys both ways. You will see some projects will have a bunch of files in one directory like that, and some projects will be pointing to Terraform modules. All right.
The best way to do it is to separate it. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
All right.
That part you guys must know. You guys must know. The best thing to do for your knowledge and for things you'll be doing at work and all that stuff is to separate the resource, not put them in the same directory.
If I wanted to take all my projects that I done did and turn them into Terraform and have everything separated, I can do that if I wanted to, right?
Correct. You can.
Gotcha.
Like Aziz just said, I remember this was when I was in an interview, long story short, and the interviewer asked me the same thing as this just said. Can you do a Terraform from scratch? And then I explained Terraform from scratch, then he went to say, can you do a Terraform with modules? And I didn't understand what modules now then meant. So now I grab what Aziz say, you would see both practice in the real world environment where you have to create a full one project with all the files in it on all the network, everything inside one project, and doing it where you have to get an output from different variables from different outputs and bring it into the project. So thank you. Makes sense now.
Yeah. So you'll see it in different style, right? So even if we want to get complex, we can use the first way we created it to deploy something, then now you connect it to the module and use the module to create another thing. So it gets sometimes you will see they may have in a directory, they may have, let's say in one directory, they have all the files there that will create an EC2 instance, migrate the data only. But then the VPC is created with the module, then to create the server, the module they point to will be the previous project we worked on. So it's just, you'll see a mixed match like that. But mainly you'll see modules the way we are doing it now, and you also see that sometimes when they point to a module, which is just point to a module is saying pointing to a folder that has a bunch of Terraform files. They may have more than just the main.tf in there. They may have like 10 files in there or 15 files, or it just depends. So, but the main thing, if we are talking about Terraform module, is you pointing to a folder that has a bunch of Terraform files. That's it. Because you guys can see that's all we are doing here, right? We are pointing to a folder that has Terraform files, and we are just adding the values that we need to add. Because the folder we are pointing to requires us to enter some values, right? And how the folder you are pointing to requires you to enter a value would be based on whatever folder you are pointing to. Just look whether that folder has the variables file. Whatever is in the variables file, that is what the folder is expecting you to enter those values. So different ways to approach it when you guys are working on it, just ask yourself different questions. Explain it to yourself as you are working on it. Then you will start to understand. Okay. It's still creating this endpoint. Okay, it's done. All right. So we've created the endpoint, right? The next one we will create, what are we doing on time today?
Sorry, Aziz.
Yes.
I saw there on top there's module security group. On the folder on the right hand side, I don't sorry, module ICE that you have put there. So where is it that module folder? Where is it that is reference to? I can't see it on your left hand side under AW project.
Perfect. Yeah. So you see in this project you are seeing here, right? In this project, this is my project.
Yes.
So you know the point of Terraform module is, let me do like a quick drawing here. I also always like how this Zoom thing is. Okay, I'm done with this, so I can close this, right? So the point of Terraform module is how you guys will see it done is there is a space, right? This is my GitHub repository. Let's just say this is my GitHub repository. And my GitHub repository, I've created some modules there. So I have the VPC module, VPC, and I have EC2, and so on. So I have some modules here, EC2 security group, and so on. I have a bunch of modules here, right? There is you. You are here. You are an engineer working for this company. I am here. I'm also an engineer working for this company, right? And someone else is here. Maybe let's say this is Victor working for this company. So you were tasked to create a infrastructure that has VPC and security group. So you create your own project, right? And you are pointing to the module VPC and EC2. Victor is asked to create security groups, right? So he creates his own separate project on his own computer and is pointing to the module. And I am here, and maybe I'm tasked to create just VPC. So I'm creating my own file, I'm pointing to this, right? So what I'm saying is that the reason why you don't see the modules there is because the module is living in a separate repository entirely, right? You creating your own file on your computer here, and you are now putting your module is equivalent to what you are seeing here, right? Is equivalent to what you are seeing here, where in this file is equivalent to your file, where you create the module and you are pointing to the place where the module is located. So basically, the EIC that you are not seeing on this left side here is because it's not here, it is here.
You've already uploaded, yeah.
Exactly. We've already uploaded to our repository here. Let me just clear this. We've already uploaded to our modules repository here. So that's where we are pointing to. So basically, if you guys open that's a very good question. So basically, if you guys open any Terraform project and you're like, oh, I don't see anything here other than this, don't freak out, right? Just look at the source. The source will tell you where it is pointing to. So you can see here it's pointing to this GitHub repository. And in this GitHub repository, it is pointing to a folder called VPC. So all you have to do is just go find that repository, right? And that repository, you find the VPC, right? That's where you now see, oh, this is where the code is located. You understand?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So that was a good question. Okay. Everyone good? We can move on to the next resource we'll create. So I think we have time. What time is class always to? Is it like to 2 or 3? 11, 12, 1. So let's do one more. If the one more we are going to do is going to take us to 1:30, then we can be done today. No, we can do 2 more because the next one we're about to do is not that big too. So let's do the secrets manager and RDS, then we'll be done for the day. So, because I said with this one, I'm not going to be using overworking it again. We'll just do whatever we can do, let you guys digest that, and we'll come back. But I'm anticipating we'll use the rest of this month to work on the Terraform module. I think we should be done by the end of this month. All right. So in your reference file, you can download that secrets manager one. So once you download it, unzip it. Right. Once you unzip it, open the folder, then you see the folder secrets manager here. There are 3 files in there: main.tf, outputs.tf, and variables.tf. So I'm going to I'm going to drag, so in your module, I'm going to drag that secrets manager in my module. Make sure you don't drag it in any of the folder, just drag it in the open space. So here, always click copy folder. So that way it will copy a new folder for you. Yeah, so you can see I now have a modules folder here for the secrets manager, right? And the first one in here is the main.tf. So, yeah, let's just start with the main.tf. In the main.tf file, right? This is the same exact file as the last project, right? So there's even nothing we need to do here. So here we have a variable called secrets name, right? And that variable is the same variable we created here in the variable.tf file, secrets name. That's just it, right? That's all we need to, that's all. We don't even need to change to anything here. Because this is like a new reference. This is not pointing to any module. So this is its own resource, right? Then we have the outputs. So the outputs are things we want to export out of this. The outputs are things we want to export out of this module that we can use later on. Remember, the point of this secrets manager is it will pull our secrets from secrets manager, right? Then we can now use the values in that secret. Because remember, in secrets manager, we have a secret there. We have a secret. So if I go in secrets manager here, we have a secret we've already created, right? That has all of our RDS credentials, right? So what we are doing is we are going to pull those secrets then so that we can use them in our Terraform project. So that's what this is doing. So for the output, it's just a name I created, right? You can call it anything you want. So here, we want to retrieve the value of RDS DB username, RDS password, and RDS database name, right? So for the value will be, you guys can see here in the main.tf file, right? What this will do is this will pull the secret that I just showed you in Secrets Manager. Remember, Secrets Manager is always in a JSON format. So when you pull the secret, it will come like this. You can see it like a JSON. It comes like this, right? So when it comes like this, you can't just use it like this because there's multiple secrets here. So how you can reference what you want in this is like you can say, when you get this, you say the key. I want the value of the key username, then it will give you admin. I want the value of the key password, and it will give you the password. I want the value of the key DB name, and it will give you the DB name. So that's how it works. So in our Terraform, this is how you do it. So when you specify local secrets and you do JSON decode, you are decoding whatever you get here. Remember, this will give you the JSON that I just showed you, and you are decoding it here. So that's what this means. So this is decoding it for you. So now to export the actual values here in the outputs.tf file, the value would be here, right? It will be local. Let me put it side by side so you guys can see what's going on. Here and main. I'll close this. So the value will be local. Local represents these locals. So when you have locals, but when you are referencing it, it will be local. Local dot. The name of the local is secrets. So see local dot secrets dot. The key, remember, this is decoding whatever you are getting here. Then the key you want to decode. Remember, the key is in the secrets manager that I was showing you here. So the key would be, this is a key value, key value, key value. So that's why they call it key value pair. You can see here key value, right? So the key and value. So right, the key of the first one, I need the key of the first one. So it will give me the value, right? So the key will be RDSDB username. So here, the key is called username. So you copy the username from here and that is what we enter here. So we'll just do the same thing for the second one. So it will be, the value will be local dot secrets, right? Representing this. Then it will be dot, the key we are trying to get is the password. So the password is whatever name the key is called. In Secrets Manager, you have to enter it exact the same way. So if it's lowercase, enter lowercase. If it's uppercase, enter uppercase. If you mix match it, it's not going to work. So that's why I'm doing the copy pasting. So I'll copy it from here and I'm going to paste it here. Then we'll do the same thing for this RDS DB name, right? So it will be local dot secrets dot the key, right? DB name. So the key DB name is called here DB name. So copy that and paste it here. So that's all we need to do for this one, right? So we'll just save and push, create secrets manager, and push it. All right, so we've pushed it. And next, we can now go to our project that is calling it, where we will create the module. We'll go to our project here, the main.tf file. Here, we will just type, we'll type a note. You can say get secrets, because that's all this is doing. It's not creating any resource. It's just getting the secrets. Get secrets from secrets manager. Sure. All right. So once you type your notes, you are going to now type module to create your module block, right? Then you give the module a name. You can call the module name Secrets Manager. Secrets Manager. Right? Then you type source here. Source. So you are seeing, right? Source. Then you give it the value, right? So let's just copy this because we know it's in the same GitHub repository. So copy this and paste it here. Then in your GitHub repository, just get the right name for the folder. So my GitHub repository is here. If I go to my modules, you can see the module is here, Secrets Manager. So copy the name of that folder, and that's what we will use here. Then we're going to press enter here. Then remember, whatever module you are pointing to, that module will have a variables file. If not, the module will have a variables file. If the module has a variables file, right, that is what you will use here, right? So you go to that module, there's a variables file, select it. Whatever variable is there, that's what you list. So here you can see there's only one variable. So I'm going to copy that variable name, and that is what I'll put here. Then I'll do equals, then we can now give it a value, right? So you see, this here we are trying to get the secret name. The question you ask yourself is, for this secret name, sorry, I was reading something. So here, the question you guys should be asking yourself when you are creating this is like, okay, I have this here and I need to enter the value. This is the secret name. Is this secret name created anywhere in these modules that I've already created? No. So that means this will just have its own value. So what is the secret name here? So let me just get the right secret name because I have two secrets there. I don't remember which one I was using for. So let me just get it from the project. I don't remember the one that I was using for this project. Dev secrets, that's the one. Okay. So for the secrets name, right? It would be, so if you go here in secrets manager, right? Go to your secrets. The secrets name is here, right? So you just copy the secret name. And that is what you enter here in quotes. And that's all you need to do and save. So once we run it, it would create this. It will create, it will just get that it will export the secrets in a secret way, and it will store it for us so other resources can use it. So that's how the secrets manager one works. It's straightforward. So the one that will take most time now is the RDS. So let's just create the RDS and we'll be done for today. I'm not going to apply this yet. Let's just go and create the RDS. So let's go back to our modules. Modules here. So far, these are the ones we have. So we're just going to close this. All right. Let's in your reference file. Once you download the RDS one, unzip it. Then open it. You should see an RDS folder there. It has main, outputs, and variables. So we're just going to click, hold, and drag and drop it here. Then once you drop it, just click copy folder. So that way, it will just create the folder for you. You can see I have the folder RDS. And in the RDS folder, there's main, there's outputs, and there's variable. The variables, I say I've already completed it for you guys, so you don't have to do it. Remember, variables are just placeholders. Things we don't want to hard code in our code that we are now creating a variables for, right? That's this, right? Because the reason why I have to do it this way is because if we have to type all this single thing at once, we're going to be here forever. And I'm already a slow typer as it is. So I think it's better to learn this way. You guys just have to spend more time with it to connect the dots, right? So the variables is here, right? Then we have the main.tf file and the output.tf file is the stuff we want to export once we've created the RDS, which in this case, we are only exporting the endpoint for the RDS. All right, let's start with the main.tf file. The main.tf file, I'll put the main.tf file and the variables file here, right? So here, for the name, I don't want to hard code the name, so that's why I created a variable for it, environment and project name. That's what you guys have seen here, project, these two variables. Then the next one is the subnet ID. Remember, we don't know what the subnet ID is because the subnet is created in the VPC module. So here we'll just create a placeholder for it for now. That's why we'll always use var dot whatever name you want to call the variable, right? So since I'm going to be creating my RDS in the private data subnet AZ1, right? So let's even talk about this, right? This whole resource here is creating the subnet group, right? The subnet group is, remember when you are creating your RDS instance, you specify a subnet group. And the subnet group is how you tell AWS which subnet in your VPC you want to dedicate for the database, right? So this is what the subnet group is. So when you are creating a subnet group, you have to specify two subnets, right? Since we don't know what the ID of those subnets are, and we know in our VPC, we will create our RDS in the data subnet AZ1 and AZ2. So that's why here we will create a variable as a placeholder, right? So these are the variables that I created here. They are placeholder. And for me, when I create my variable, whatever I'm trying to create them in, I name my variable as descriptive as that. And that's what you guys will see I work to. So since my subnet group will be private data subnet AZ1, right? And private data subnet AZ2. That's why I named the variable private data subnet AZ1 ID, private data subnet AZ2 ID. So that's why here you see var dot the variable name, private data subnet AZ1 ID. I don't need the quotes, comma, var dot private data subnet AZ2 ID. Right? And that's how that's done, right? Then let me drag this here. Then where we have the description and the tags, the tag we already created the variable here, environment and project name, right? So the next one here is the RDS instance, right? So what I did here is, right? Remember, this is the same RDS file from the last project. So the only thing I want us to focus on, we'll cover all this, but the only thing I left here that we have to reference is the things from the previous RDS file that has to change. Like things now that we can just put resource type reference name, we have to reference it from other modules. So that's why I've left this out. Well, let's just start. So this will create your RDS instance, right? And here we have the engine name. For the engine name, you can hard code it here if you want. Like if it's MySQL, you can type MySQL in there. But the point of Terraform module is that you don't want to hard code. Majority of the things will not be hard code because so that way, let's say you want to use this resource now to create a Postgres database. You can now use it because you didn't hard code MySQL here. So for the engine name, we just created a variable for it. So that's what you guys see here, database engine, var database engine. We created a variable for it. Then the next one, this is just from the previous project, what we've already done. So the next here is engine version. The same way, we don't want to hard code it. We created a variable for it, var engine version. The next one is multi-AZ. We don't want to hard code it. So we create a variable for it, var multi-AZ deployment. The next one is instance class. The identifier. We don't want to hard code it. So I decided to name it this way, var environment, var project name, DB. So in our previous project, we actually didn't name it this way, but you guys can name it this way. It's fine. The reason why I did it this way is so that way, if you guys are creating multiple VPCs, you can't have the same name. So you can use this format if you want. So the next one is instance class, right? That is the type of instance you want the RDS to be. We don't want to create a variable for it. We don't want to hard code it, so we created a variable for it. So that's why you see database instance class, var database instance class. Just create a variable for it. The next one is the username, right? Remember the username also is the RDS username, and that will be getting that value from Secrets Manager. At this point, we don't know what the value will be. So we don't want to hard code it here. So we're just going to create a variable for it. So that's why you see var here and the name of the variable RDS DB username, right? So you guys just know in this reference file, what I've left are things that will change from in the modules, things from the previous project that will change. So that means you can pretty much reuse your files from the previous project, but if you reuse them, these are the things you have to update. So here, the next one is the password. We don't know what the value is, so we'll just create a placeholder for it. So we just type var dot the name of the variable, which is password, RDSDB password. So you can copy the variable from here and paste it here. The next one is the DB name, right? Just like the rest, we don't know what it is, so we can create a placeholder for it for now. with the variable. So we just do var dot here. Allocated storage is 200. That's the default. The subnet group that we're going to use when for this database is the same subnet group we created up here. So you can see it is the reference name, resource type, reference name. So you guys can see here, resource type, right? Reference name. You can see when I highlighted this gets highlighted and name, right? That's that one. Then the next one is the VPC security group ID, right? Remember, the security group is created in the security groups module, so we don't know what the ID would be. So we just create a placeholder for it using variables. So we type variable, var, and the variable name. This is the variable name I created for it. So I'll just paste it here. And the next one is availability zone, right? This was also created, we specify our availability zone in the VPC module, right? So we don't know, we kind of know, but we don't want to hard code it. US is 1A, US is 1B. We want everything to be dynamic. So we create it as a variable too. We just say var dot, and I want to create my RDS in the first availability zone. So that's why I say availability zone 1 here. The variable name is just a name that you have to make it descriptive so that way you know what you are using it for. And skip final snapshots, that one we say true. This just means that every time you create your RDS instance and you run Terraform destroy, you don't want it to keep creating snapshots in your account. So we don't want to create final snapshots, so we'll skip it. And publicly accessible, that one, we can type true or false here, but I want you to be able to decide whether you want it to be change this value. So we create it as a variable, and that's the variable you are seeing here, var publicly accessible. And that's all we need to do for this RDS in the main. So we can save this file, right? Then in the outputs, you can see the outputs here. We only need to output the endpoint for the RDS. So you can see here, I gave it a name RDS endpoint. And to output the endpoint of the RDS, the value will be the resource type, right? The same way we were doing in the previous project, the resource type and the reference name. You copy it and you paste it here. Then you remove the double quotes, add the period, then come all the way. Let me close this so you guys can see. Then come to the end, add another period, and I believe this will be endpoint. So endpoint. So that's what it should look like. Just a second. I was checking my notes just to make sure. Oh, yeah, it will be endpoint. So that's the attributes we need. Then here you click save, you save everything, and our module is done. So you can see here we have our module, the main.tf, the outputs.tf, and the variables.tf. So once we've done that, we can push it. My source control, create RDS module. RDS module. Okay, I haven't saved the main.tf, so let me save all my files. So make sure you save all your files, then commit, then push. So once you commit and push, next we can now create the project. So we go in our project. In our project here, we would create a new module First, let's comment it and let's say create RDS instance. Create RDS instance. Then you type module to get the module block. Then you give the module a name. We'll call it RDS. Right? Then you specify the source. And for the source, we can just still use the same thing as this. So copy this and paste it here. Then we'll just remove this so that we can point to the right folder. If we go in our modules, the folder is called RDS. So I'll copy the folder name and paste it here. Then remember, the next thing you have to do is whatever module you are pointing to, go back to that module, then open it. If there is a variables file, open that variables file. All the variables that are listed there, you have to list it under the source. So the first one here is environment. So it's going to be tedious if you guys get the gist, right? So all the variables, you have to list it here, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to list everything. Environment equals, so that I'm not just jumping back and forth. Let me just do it let me do it from here, from the other one, from the modules one. So I need to list all this project name. Private data subnet is the one. Private data subnet is the 2 ID. Data engine, database engine. Database engine version. Multi-AZ deployment. This one has a lot. Database instance class. RDS DB username. RDS DB password. For a lot of these things, you guys should copy paste, especially when you are using Terraform Manager, right? Because sometimes when you type, and I've seen when I'm troubleshooting with people, sometimes when they type, you can accidentally type something, and if your references is wrong, then it can lead to like error later on. So it's best to copy paste. So copy this, paste it here. Availability zone 1, copy that, paste it here. Public access, copy and paste. So that's all. So in case if you guys in Visual Studio Code, if you have stuff like this, you can, and you want to tab it, so you can select everything, and if you press the tab key, it will tab it for you like that. So and that's all I need. All I need is the variable. So I'm done there. Let me just minimize this. All right. So now we can start entering the values, right? The first one is environment. remember the environment we define the environment in the VPC module. So we want to use the same environment, whatever the value is from the VPC module. So to reference it, we will say module dot the module where it is referenced, which is VPC, dot the output in that VPC module, right? So if we go to our VPC module, right? Let me just minimize this so you guys can see. So VPC module is here. There's an output file there, right? And the output is environment. So we are copying this, and I'll just put this. I'll still duck this side by side so you guys can see. I think it'll be faster, right? So the output will be environment. The next one is project name. Remember, project name too was defined in the VPC module. So it will be module, right? Dot the name of the module. The name of the module we are referencing VPC is whatever you call the module up here. So I call it VPC. So that's why I'm naming it VPC. That's what I'm referencing here, VPC. Dot. In the VPC module, what outputs are you trying to reference? The output project name, which is this. All right. The next one is private data subnet AZ1 ID, right? So remember, the private data subnet AZ1 ID is created in the VPC module. So we have to reference it by referencing the module dot VPC, right? Dot the output in that VPC we want to reference. The output is, look for the output where you export the private data subnet AZ1 ID. So here, this is where we export private data subnet AZ1 ID. So you copy the output name, and you paste it here. The next one is the private data subnet AZ2 ID. So it's the same thing, that the private data subnets are in the VPC module, is in the VPC module. So you have to reference it by typing module dot the module you want to reference, VPC, whatever name you gave it, dot the output in that module. So in the output file, look for the output private data subnet AZ2 ID. So you guys see why I'm only showing you guys this way so you guys can see where the values are coming from. But when I'm working on it, because I typically name my variables the same name as the outputs. So when I'm doing it, I can just copy it from here because I know I named it the same thing. So that's one of the benefits of naming your variable that you are using as the placeholder as the output you are trying to reference later on. The next one here is the database engine, right? Where is the database engine created? It is not created anywhere. It is new, it's a new thing. So we just can enter the value here, which is the database engine will be my SQL, SQL. So it's all lowercase MySQL, like that. Then the next one is the database engine version, right? We can use, this one is not also created anyway, it's a new value. So we can use 8.0.43. That was the last one I tested that worked. And remember, this engine version comes from your RDS. What if you try to go create RDS, right? Because sometimes, depending on when you guys are watching the lecture, sometimes your RDS might the engine version is always changing like so often that here, right? If you just come here, try to create an RDS database and select MySQL. So if you scroll down here, you should see the engine. You can see this is the one I'm using, but you can see there's like a newer one that is even 8.47. sometimes if you use the old one, it will tell you you can create the RDS, but you guys just always come in here, whatever version you see there, and you can use it. So I think that one is 8.46. Let me just use that one. Eight 8.46. So the next one is the multi-AZ, right? Multi-AZ deployment, this is like, do you want to create a standby database? Multi-AZ is like this one, like multi-AZ. Or just say no. So that one type false. And the next one is the instance class, right? For the database. For the instance class, in quotes, we can type DB dot T3. That's the only, there's not even T2 anymore. The T3 micro. Right? Then the next one is the RDS DB username, right? Where was that created, right? Remember our RDS DB username was specified in the secrets manager, right? So here, to reference it, we will say, to reference it, we'll say module dot. The module where the secrets was referenced is in the, was created is in the secrets manager module. So you copy secrets manager here and you paste it here. This is something is always in my way. Paste it here. Dot the outputs in that module. So here you just have to go to your secrets manager outputs, right? And the outputs we want to reference is DB username. So you copy this output name here and you paste it here. We'll do the same thing for the next one is the password. So it will be equals to the module dot the name of the module is secrets manager dot the outputs from secrets manager, which is this one, password. So copy this and paste it here. Then we'll do the same thing for the next one, which is database name. So it was created in the secrets manager module. So it says module secrets manager, right? Module secrets manager dot the output, right? The output is this RDSDB name. Copy and paste it here. Then we'll do the next one. Security database security group ID, right? Where was that created? In the security group module, right? So we'll type module dot the name of the module, right? So if you scroll up here, right, the module name comes from whatever you named your module. You named the security groups here. So copy this and paste it here. Then period. Then what output in that security groups module do you want to reference? So you have to go to the security groups module, right? Then go to the outputs, right? The output is database security group. So the database security group ID, yeah. So copy and paste it here. The next one is availability zone 1, right? So here we're going to equal. Remember, our availability zone was specified in our VPC module. So we are going to type module dot VPC, the name of the module, right? Dot the outputs in that module. So here we can go back again to our VPC module and outputs file. And we want the output availability zone 1, which is this. So copy this and paste it here. And the last one is publicly accessible. That one is not created anywhere. This is just an RDS one. For that one, we'll say false. Because we want it to be private. We don't want it to be public accessible. And that's it. And that's pretty much it. We're done. So I can just minimize this and I can maximize that. This is what the RDS module will look like, the values. So make sure you save your file, save all. And once you save it, we'll open the terminal and I'll type Terraform init to download the module. Then Then I'll type Terraform apply to apply. And you can see here, it is creating the subnet group. It is creating this is creating the RDS instance, and that's it, right? Then I type yes and press enter. There you go. It's not creating the RDS instance. If I go in the management console, here I'm just going to cancel this one. And you can see here, I have an RDS instance creating. You can see creating here. And yep, that's pretty much it. I think we should stop here today because it's pretty much so like 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, I don't want to use the whole 4 hours anymore. So we can just stop here today. I'll let you guys digest this one. Then we'll continue next week. So we will try to finish on the modules by the end of the month. But I want to introduce the module at least 3 every week, like 3. We'll probably be done in 2 weeks with the Terraform module. But I want to introduce it this way so you guys can have time to practice it instead of just completing it just to complete it. The main thing is I want you guys to understand it. So whatever we worked on today, you guys just go practice it when you get home. Like you just have to do that. Then you will understand. All right. Does anyone have any question?
Yes, Aziz, I do.
Sure.
I want to know if when you are creating the RDS, for instance, the database engine version, is there a way you can use is there a way to write a code whereby it will pick the latest by itself instead of you going to check what it is and hard code it?
That's a good idea. I never thought about that. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to ask AI. Let me see. How am I going to do this? Output. RDS. Main. Okay. Just copy this. There's source is there way like copy is there a way to find get the latest 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 impression. Uh, mm, Hang on. Let me refresh. Okay. Says yes, you can use RDS. So I can use AWS RDS engine version data source. Oh, okay, I see. I see. So to dynamically fetch the latest thing. So here, right? So RDS, so here, right? I can do it here. Then once I do it there, then I can now use it here. Right. So that what that would look like is, you understand? So we use data source, right? Which makes sense, right? So I'm already creating it, right? But in the module, well, that was a good question. So we can improve it in the module, right? So what it is saying is I can put this here. So this is going to get the latest version, the latest engine version, right? So here I'm specifying database engine. Yeah, so this has to be the same. Then latest true, include all. So it says like they include all, only stable versions here, so not beta, right? So include all. So you only want to include the stable version. So include all false, right? So that's what that's saying, right? Then in the RDS one, you just now use it like this. So this is gonna get the latest, and in the engine version, you now say data dot uh, latest dot. What is the attribute we need? Let me see. The attribute you need is oh, okay, you can even do, oh, I see. So the one would be version, the other one would be engine. Okay. So version engine. So here will be version, and we can do the same thing here too. So we don't need to do this like this anymore. So we can do this like this. So that would be engine. Okay. So this is how this would be, right? So database engine. And so now we've pretty much got rid of the engine version. So let me just make sure the RDS is done creating. So the RDS, is it done? I think it's done. No, it's done. All right. So the RDS is done. So this is the change that I'm making, right? I created the data source, and in turn, I ended up getting rid of the variable engine version right here. I ended up getting rid of this one. So I don't need this one anymore. That is if this, because I haven't tested this data source, so I don't need the engine. So just to show you guys, So this is the variables.tf, the main.tf, right? So we still have the environment, project name, private app, EZ1, data subnet, EZ1, EZ2, right? The next variable here is engine version, database engine, right? Via database engine. And the next one is, you can see engine version, I got rid of it, right? So after that is multi-AZ, an instance class. So that's what we'll do, right? Then I'm going to save all of this. And if you look at what we changed in the source control, just a second, guys. Sorry. So if you look at what we changed, we added the this data source to get the latest, and we now updated it here because this is the engine version is referencing whatever data source gets from here, and that's that. And for the variable, we have to remove this because we don't need it anymore because this is the one where we are hard coding it, right? So let me push it. Update. Update. RDS module. Right. So I've updated and I've pushed it. So now in my project, in my RDS project, right? I don't need this anymore. I don't need this this anymore. Because you guys watch what will happen. I'll leave it there and I'll run it. You guys will see. It will tell me this is not expected here. So why do I have it there? Watch. So I'm going to yeah. This is probably where I need that Terraform init upgrade. But is it like, who was telling me they did it? Is it hyphen upgrade or is it just upgrade? Because it's been a long
Yeah,
time.
I think it's hyphen upgrade.
Okay, thank you.
I think so.
Upgrade. So hyphen upgrade. Terraform init hyphen upgrade. Right? So you can see here is re-downloading. It re-downloaded all the modules again. So you can see. Right? So now I'm going to now do Terraform apply. So you can see it is telling me unsupported arguments, right? Because I've removed it as a variable. So why do I still have it in here? So that's why I'm saying that. I told you guys that. So all we have to do is just remove this because we already removed the argument. We already removed that variable. So we don't need to specify it. Remember, this also proves my point of what I was telling you. Whatever module you are pointing to, whatever variables is in that module are the only things you can list under the source. You can't list anything extra here. So if you guys is asking like all these things here, where are they coming from? They are coming from the module we are pointing to, the things that are listed in the variables. That's where they are coming from. So I just proved that here. Then I'm just going to run it again, Terraform apply. So you can see now it is updating my RDS instance, right? The latest version is actually 8.47. I don't know, maybe it's not in the console. I don't know. There's not 4.6, I just saw that anyway. So it's saying it's pretty much when it's pulling it is finding this as the latest one. So it's saying it's going to update my RDS to that. So I'm just going to type yes. And let's see what happens. So it's updating the RDS instance. If we look in here, let's look in the console. Let's go and refresh here. So this is probably not updating because I think what we need is, let me see. I'm just going first, once it's done, I want to check, where do I see the engine version here? I think it will be MySQL. Configuration, right? So engine version. Let me see when Terraform is done. Because I think what happens with Terraform is, I mean, how RDS works is that when you make changes to it, right? It's making the change, but the next thing is like, it would put it in the, it would apply it to the next updating window. Like it won't apply it immediately. Let me see if it updates. So you can see it didn't update here. Even though Terraform applied it, what it did is it probably put it in the maintenance window. So you can see it here. See? I'm not even lying to you guys. So you can see here, it put it in the maintenance window for the RDS instance to, as you can see now, pending modification is going to now change it to 8.47 at this maintenance window, which is the default one that I set for the RDS instance. This is good. So now that means that the update question you had, that was a good question. That worked. We've updated the code to dynamically pull the latest version. So now if I want to always apply immediately, I'm pretty sure, okay. There's probably an argument I need. Okay. I want to, what? Argument. Then to apply immediately, right? So here, I just need to add this to my RDS, apply immediately, true. Right. And I could have gone to the documentation to look for it too, but since I already know pretty much how to find things, the fastest way is probably to use AI. But I'm saying like the first time you are working on Terraform, it's the first time, don't use AI for it. Like learn how to find it in the documentation first. So yeah, I just need to come to my main.tf under RDS here. Just to apply immediately. This one, we don't have to enter it as a variable anything. Anything we apply, we want to apply immediately, just type true. Later on, if you want to change it to a variable, you can change it, but I'll leave it like this. So I'm going to save it again. And I'm going to push the module. So once I push it, I'm going to go to the project. And nothing really changed. So we don't have to change anything on the project here. The only thing we can do here is just first init to download the latest one. Init upgrade. We download all the modules, then I'll do apply. So the default value for apply immediately, the default was true. So the default was false. So now that I add the argument to change it to true, so it is going to update it. And here I'm going to type yes. Press enter. And now if I go back to the console and check the RDS, refresh. you can see now it is upgrading. Let me show you from here. You can see it is upgrading. I'll wait for this to be done. Then the engine version should now be at 4.8, whatever, 87 or something. It's still upgrading. So that was a good question. Yes. So to answer your question, yes, you can do that, and we just did.
Okay. Thank you. That's awesome.
All right. Perfect. All right. I think we are done for today. We're not going to push the other one. Let's you guys just practice this one for today. The ones we did. The next week we'll continue. We'll see how far we get next week because we really don't well, we still have some stuff to create, so it might still take 2 more classes to complete it. So yeah, but we'll stop here for today. All right. Does anyone have any question before we end today's class? Any questions? Something you are confused about?
Yes, Ahmed, please, can you check the message I sent to you on Slack?
Okay. You turn to me or Ahmed?
Oh, sorry, Azeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will. What's your name?
Yemi.
Yemi. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll check. Okay.
AZ, have you ever updated your stock portfolio?
Oh no, I've not. I haven't
Oh, so
really.
you still using the old version?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like I haven't. The same thing I bought last year is the same thing I have. I haven't updated anything yet.
You haven't updated. Is it working for you?
Um, all the stuff I have are like long-term stuff. So even though the market is a little bit weird, it's kind of like working. At this point, it's just a waiting game. So that's why I haven't updated yet, because I'm waiting to get out of the investments that I have now. Then once I am out of them, then I'll look for new ones. So I
You
haven't
gonna look
really
for
done
them?
anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking at it and it ain't really giving me any good buy-ins to. So I had switched to I was more of a forex. Now I'm pushing more to futures. But I wanna set an alert for what I'm using it for. So when it hit, I want to be able to get in and get on out for as a future contract. And I don't know if I don't know if I probably need help on setting it on up. I know I can ask Claude to help me with it, but I know it's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff that I'm gonna be wanting to use it for as my strategy. Um, you ain't never looked at future contracts or nothing of that yet, huh?
No, I don't. I don't have any experience on that. I only just do stocks and
Yeah,
options. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But let me finish this one. Then at the end, we can talk about it. If nobody has like AWS question, then we can
Okay.
talk about
All
investing
right.
stuff. Okay. All right. Does anyone, Juliet, you're welcome. Ismail, you're welcome. So, but you guys understand Terraform magic. Oh, sorry. Um, Teachings channel. Sorry, I didn't see your comment. Okay. After buying your project's course, if someone gets stuck or needs clarity, is there a way to reach out to you? Yeah, so that's what people here are doing. So people, um, that's what people on the Zoom call, those are people that bought my course. So those are, and I help them. That's pretty much how this whole Saturday session started anyway. So yes, yes. So the point of it is like I try to find a time where I'm online where you guys can catch me, which is the best time is this Saturday. I'm here. But I also have a Slack channel where other people can answer your questions. And if you send me a message when I get to it, I'll answer it. But every weekend, then I come here, then I answer anyone's question that bought my course. So the people you are hearing on the Zoom call, those are people that paid for my course. So yeah, to answer your question, yes. All right. Does anyone else have any question? Okay. Well, practice the Terraform module, everything we've done up to this point. You guys saw that as we continue building the module, it actually got easier because it's just copy pasting. It's just copy pasting a bunch of stuff, right? Once you prepare I know I prepared the variables file for you guys, but it's just a variables file. You can call it anything you want, right? And we don't have to build that as we go. So the some certain things I'll prepare for you guys, but you can see the module itself is just copy pasting. So it's really not anything complicated about it. So yeah, that's it. That's it for today. We'll practice it. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll continue next week. And hopefully by the end of this month, we'll be done. All right. Someone has a question? Okay. What?
Thanks, Azeez. Happy New Year. I was out the country, so I'm playing catch up.
Okay.
I'll be on my Terraform modules all week.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Happy New
So
Year.
you guys that's good. That's good. But the main thing is you guys gotta stay consistent, man.
Exactly.
Don't try. And I just feel like that's just well, let me speak for myself. This is how life works for me. I've always realized that every time I'm very consistent on something, I always get that thing. But when I've tried to cheat, well, I won't say cheat, but when I've not been consistent, like for example, now my YouTube is a good example. I haven't been consistent on my YouTube in posting, and I can see the result of that. So my view dropped a lot. So basically, it's just like I'm just trying to say anything you want that means something to you, you really just have to be consistent. You have to do it every day. You can't even if you didn't do Terraform for 4 days and you did it and you understand it on the fifth day, it's still not good enough. You really have to it's that consistency. I'd rather you do 1 hour every day for 5 days than just do 5 hours on Friday or on one day of the week. So
Very true.
that's how I've been approaching it. I try to do it every day. So yeah, that's what I
Oh
do.
yeah, for sure. The YouTube is golden. That's I always say that's a blessing that we can still go back to it. That's what I've been doing prior to this every day. Go as long as I can.
Cool. Yeah. So Juliet, I'm very happy to hear that. After the first module class, it's quite easy to follow. Okay, cool. Perfect. So you know what? I was feeling worried a little bit that maybe by providing the reference file, and maybe I'm doing a disservice to you guys understanding. But I just feel that if we have to type everything as we go, it's just going to take forever. And also with the Terraform module, I don't want to focus on redoing all the arguments again. I only just want to focus on if you have a Terraform file that looks this way and you need to turn it to into a module. I don't really just want to focus on key things you have to update, which is really the connections with things like the way we reference the VPC ID will be different now in the module because the VPC is in a different folder. So we have to export the ID first, then reference it later on. So things like that. So that's the main thing I want to focus on for the module. But I'm glad you understand it. Like I said, if you guys keep working on it, it gets easy. At that point, you just copy pasting stuff left and right. Yeah, but thank you guys. We're pretty much done for today. And someone messaged me. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, so please pardon me. I think it's Jane. Are you here? Because you said you were having issue with like your Kubernetes stuff. So I'm not sure who that is. I'm not sure who that is, if it's a male or female, or if the person is still here. You said he was going to be here today. And if you're here, I can help, I can assist you today. And if not, it's fine. Anyway, guys, we are done. So have a good weekend. I'll see you guys next week. Yeah.
Same to you, Azeez. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So on YouTube, please, you guys, can you like the videos for me? So that way, at least I can get some type of engagement that way. So I really always forget to ask, but I don't like to ask either. But please, you guys like it for me. And if there's anyone you can share it to, I appreciate that as well. All right. On YouTube, thank you, Juliet, Ismail, Wisdom. I didn't there is John. John is not here today. I wonder if he's busy. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Bye, Ismail. All right, Juliet. Have a good weekend. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Juliet. See you next week.
Bye.
Okay, bye.